This morning's September inflation report was a welcome surprise for many economists. The rate fell from 4% in August to 3.8% as price pressures eased. The drop is raising hopes that the Bank of Canada will hold its key interest rate steady next week. Grocery prices also took a deep dive at 5.8% year over year in September. That's down from the rate in August, which was 6.9%. But are Canadians out of the inflation woods just yet? Canada's inflation rate edged down to 3.8% last month as price pressures eased across the economy, setting the stage for the Bank of Canada to hold its key interest rate steady next week.
Thank God.
Statistics Canada released its latest Consumer Price Index report today, which showed inflation slowing once more in September after rising to 4% in August. The report shows the main upward pressures on annual inflation last month were mortgage interest costs, rent, food purchased from restaurants, and gas and electricity. Meanwhile, lower prices for telephone services, natural gas, air transportation, childcare, and housekeeping services and furniture helped pull inflation down. As for the numbers everyone's been watching, the federal agency said grocery prices were up 5.8% year over year in September, compared with 6.9% in August. Economists reacting to the latest inflation data say it adds more evidence that the Bank of Canada, which is gearing up for an interest rate decision on October 25th, can remain on the sidelines and wait for inflation to continue falling.
I can breathe again.
The central bank's key interest rate currently sits at 5%, the highest it's been since 2001. And while inflation has not yet returned to its 2% target, the central bank is trying not to overdo it with rate hikes, given the economy has already started to buckle under the weight of higher borrowing costs. Since last year, economic growth has slowed significantly, and the labor market is no longer as hot as it was coming out of COVID-19 lockdowns. The issue of affordability has been dominating political discourse for months, with both the Conservatives and NDP demanding the Liberal government do more to help Canadians struggling to pay the bills.
After 8 years of this Prime Minister and his NDP Liberal government, we're starting to see the hard reality that inflation is the price you pay for all of the programs the government told you were free. Remember, the Prime Minister said he could double the debt, but don't worry, the budget would balance itself. He said that interest rates were low, so not only were deficits permanently affordable, we couldn't afford not to spend.
The leader of the opposition is proposing to cut spending. Well, the reality is we have the lowest deficit in the G7. We have the best debt to GDP ratio in the G7. And we've preserved our AAA credit rating, Mr. Speaker. We are fiscally responsible as we support people with things like the grocery rebate, with investments that are bringing down inflation, working with the different grocery companies.
Earlier this month, Industry Minister François-Philippe Champagne announced that major Canadian grocers, Loblaw, Metro, Empire, Walmart, and Costco submitted initial plans to the federal government for how they will stabilize prices in the face of high inflation.